Seeing all the videos about the bike industry collapsing. Everybody's all scared about it. What's going to happen to the bike industry? I'm not worried about it. Actually, it's a good thing. And the companies are collapsing because they're just too greedy. I mean, if you think about it, what are they charging all that for? Assembly. They've got their frames with their name painted on the side, and then they order the aftermarket suspension, the aftermarket bars, the Shimano mech, all that stuff, aftermarket stuff. They put it together, and then they charge you for the assembly, the labor, the time, the parts. So they're just getting too greedy. They just want to make so much off each bike because it costs them so much to order its aftermarket parts and put them together. And then they get everybody convinced that you have to pay so much for a bike for it to count as a real bike. And it turns into this whole status thing. It starts out as looking for capability, but then pretty soon it has to do with just how much did the bike cost. If it didn't cost enough, then it must not be capable enough. And everybody's convinced that price equals quality, and that you have to buy a new bike and it has to be the most expensive bike or else it's not a real bike, it's not modern enough, it's not capable enough. But that's all just a scam. Don't be one of the sheep just following the crowd on that. You don't have to overpay for your bike. The industry collapsing is actually a good thing for the sport. It'll give a chance for the riders to take back the industry, take back the sport away from the CEOs of these companies that decide that they're gonna overcharge for bikes just because they have people convinced that they should pay that much to get a quality bike. It's bullshit. And I mean, if the industry collapses, don't worry, new companies will come in that will figure out how to sell bikes at a reasonable price that are fully capable and give the people what they want, but they're actually a price that people will pay. What's happening is people are getting fed up. I mean, the bike companies started to charge more and more, inventing all this tech so they can just charge more for it. And they finally got to that point where people are not willing to pay that much anymore, no matter how high tech it is. And the bike companies are just trying to kind of level up by upping the tech and trying to convince people that they need to pay more because the technology is improving. But most of the technology is also stupid and pointless, really. I mean, everything to cut weight. You know how you can cut weight the best? Shave a little weight off your ass, you know? Stop drinking soda, stop munching on junk all the time, start focusing in on your riding, lose a little weight. That's gonna cut way more weight than any carbon frame or any lightweight part. But again, I mean, all these companies are charging for is just assembly. They just take their frame and they put everybody else's parts on it. Us riders can do the same thing. At this point, there's so many used bikes floating around, quality frames that aren't even beat up because half the time new riders, you know, or people that think they want to try it, they get a brand new bike and then they decide they don't like it, so they sell their bike and save bikes from going to the junkyard, just sitting around forgotten in garages and all that, you know. Give them a second life, get that used frame, and then get the new aftermarket parts to put on it. And you'll end up spending less than you would on a brand new bike. Guaranteed you won't spend $7,000 or $10,000. You'll end up with a bike that's just as capable if you're picky about it and you look for a shiny, untouched frame. I mean, it'll look brand new. Take it to the mechanic, get it tuned up just like you'd need to in a while with a brand new bike anyway. And I mean, stop falling for the industry scam. Don't worry about it if the industry collapses. I mean, I know these companies have been around for a long time, you know, but they kind of did themselves in by overcharging. Like I said, people aren't willing to pay that anymore. So the sport's going to go back to the riders now. And it's going to get to a point where people will realize that it's not about how much the bike costs. And then maybe that whole thing of trying to maintain the status symbol by having the most expensive high-tech bike will die. And it can go back to the way it was, grassroots, when it started, you know, early Rampage days and so on around in that time when people were just out riding, crushing it on whatever they had. I mean, modern geometry is one thing. There is some modern tech that makes a difference. But once you get to a certain point, all bikes are kind of equal in a way. And then you just put the aftermarket parts on them. I mean, what's a bike really made of anyway? Frame, bars, shocks, wheels, shifters, chain, but not in my case. You know, so, I mean, you get a frame and you just put whatever parts on it, end up with a bike that's better than anything you're going to find new anyway. Yeah, it doesn't have the carbon frame, it doesn't have the electronic shifting and all that shit, but how often are you really going to use that? And then, like in my case, I felt so much freedom. I got so much freedom when I realized that I don't shift anyway. I don't pedal anyway. You know? I mean, anything that I'm riding down is so steep that I'm not pedaling up. And I feel no shame in it. I'm not trying to pedal up steep, slick stuff. I'm saving my energy for the downs. So I can slam those jumps, slam those corners, hold on tight, take that shit, you know? I'm not worried about the climb. So that's me. So I realized I don't even pedal. So I don't need a chain, I don't need shifters, I don't need any of that shit. And that made me realize that half the stuff that people think they need, they don't even need if they just think about what the sport is for them. Not what people tell them the sport is. Not what the industry, these rich CEOs that want you to buy their overpriced bikes try to tell you that the sport is. The sport is what you make it. The sport is what each rider makes it. And then the collective universe of the riders defines the sport, you know? It's not just for the rich snobs. It's not just for the pros. It's not just for people in countries that can access brand new bikes, you know? It's bigger than that. And the industry collapsing is actually more like the sport growing past the status symbol, you know, doing a 360. Started out grassroots, broke-ass surfers just doing their thing, you know, riding down hills. It evolved. It hit that point where people were just crushing it on whatever they had, learning what can take it, what can't, you know, beefing up the frames, learning about capability. And then it went past all the way to where we have all this shit that just doesn't even matter. So now it's going to come full circle again. Back to the grassroots where people are just getting out there on whatever they have, just doing it, you know. People will start to realize that you can do it on just about anything, really. I mean, if you throw away that status symbol, you don't worry about if you have a fully capable, modern bike, you know, just focus on actual capability, not what the industry tells you is capable. I mean, like, this rocker behind me, you know, stock suspension, all I did was throw some bars on, some high bars. And I mean, check out my videos, you know, definitely no beginner. I stomp shit pretty good. And just as an example, this isn't a top of the line, fully capable, fully modernized, high-tech machine here. I mean, I don't even know, it's probably like one of the lower end models or something, but it's just the frame design. It just has that frame. So who even cares what brand it is or how much it cost or even how old it is? I mean, I think it's like 5 years old. I bought it used for $100. It was missing the front wheel, so that's all I had to replace on it starting out. And then I had another used bike that I was flipping, buying and selling, you know. That's where these Hoosefelds came from. And most recently I grabbed the 26er to convert it to a mullet, because I just realized that's what I like. I compared the two. I compared regular with the mullet, and the mullet rides better for me. So I'm not going to worry about if the industry or if anybody else tells me that double 29s are better for this or that. I've already experienced. I know what I like. I'm sticking with it, you know. I'm learning my own way with this, making my own way in the sport. More people should just do it. Just get what you can get. You know, focus on getting something that's actually capable in real life, real standards, which is much less than what the industry wants you to believe. Because they don't want you buying a used bike. They don't want you buying a bike for $100 and then using it for 3 years and it's still going strong. I mean, I'll just have to get it serviced. I'm planning to throw forks on there, upgrade it a little bit, but I mean, come on. I'm not planning to buy a new bike anytime soon. I'm gonna upgrade this one and rock it into the ground. And when the time comes to replace it, I'll grab another used one that somebody bought for $7,000 and then decided they don't want to ride that much. So I'll go ahead and rake in those rewards, you know, profit off their foolishness of falling into the industry, falling into the crowd of sheep, going and dumping their money on a brand new bike because they were told that's what they need. Just look around and figure out for yourself what you need. Make the sport your own. I'm gonna get in here and crush it on shit that I built, on my bike that I got for $100. I don't need the industry. Us riders don't need the industry. So if the big companies are going under later, that's what happens when you charge too much. People get fed up with it. There's only so many people who can spend $10,000 on a bike. Customer base is limited. And like I said, as it becomes a thing, the more people are hitting the trails on bikes that don't cost thousands of dollars, people are going to realize that was a scam. That was just a wave, a trend people were falling for. So, I mean, the real companies that support real riders, not just rich snobs, will stick around because they'll adapt. They'll find a way to make affordable bikes that are still quality, but that the average person can actually have a chance of getting. And companies that charge too much will just go under, and they'll be replaced by companies led by new riders that follow the new wave, that just focus on making bikes that are capable, that people can buy. So if you're like me and you free yourself from everything that the industry tells you the sport is supposed to be, and you just make your own way, you can just sit back and chill while the big companies collapse. I'm good.